Millions of lives were lost, cities were reduced to rubble. Entire nations were pushed to the edge of collapse. What began as political tension soon exploded into a conflict so brutal that it reshaped borders, destroyed empires, and changed the course of human history forever. But wars are not just fought on battlefields. They are born in decisions made behind closed doors, fueled by ambition, fear, and the struggle for power. The question is, how did the world reach this point, and could it have been avoided? Welcome to War Zone History, a channel dedicated to uncovering the real stories behind the world's deadliest wars. Here, we go beyond dates and names to explore the causes, strategies, and consequences of conflicts that shaped the modern world. In this video, we will take you deep into the heart of war, examining why it began, how it was fought, and what it left behind. Through detailed analysis, historical footage, and powerful storytelling, you'll discover not only how armies moved and battles were won or lost, but also how ordinary people were affected by extraordinary events. This is not just a story of war, it is a story of humanity under fire. The seeds of war were sown long before the first shots were fired. Political tensions have been escalating across Europe for decades, fueled by the ambitions of empires, the rise of nationalism, and the complex web of alliances that bound nations together. Economic struggles following global recessions, coupled with unresolved disputes from previous conflicts, created a volatile environment. Countries armed themselves and prepared for confrontation, often underestimating the scale and devastation of the coming war. The assassination of a single figure became the spark that ignited this powder keg, but the roots ran deep. Leaders made decisions driven by pride, fear, and a desire for dominance, failing to foresee the human cost. The media, propaganda, and public opinion also played a critical role, glorifying war and demonizing rivals. While some nations sought peace, their voices were drowned out by the drums of militarism. Borders drawn centuries before, often without regard to culture or geography, added to the tension. As armies mobilized and alliances activated, the world stood on the brink of chaos. By the time the first battles erupted, the stage was set for a war that would not only determine political control, but redefine the nature of modern conflict and the lives of millions of ordinary people. The war quickly escalated into massive battles across continents, each shaping the course of history. The conflict was fought on multiple fronts, from the trenches of Europe to the deserts of North Africa and the islands of the Pacific. Leaders deployed troops and strategies both daring and desperate, often with staggering human losses. Some battles became turning points, changing momentum and morale for entire nations. Armies faced challenges such as supply shortages, harsh terrains, and harsh weather conditions, yet both sides pushed relentlessly. Tanks rolled across muddy fields, airplanes roared overhead, and artillery shells tore through once peaceful towns. Each battle was more than a clash of armies, it was a contest of resources, technology, and endurance. Civilians often found themselves caught in the crossfire, their cities bombed, and livelihoods destroyed. Intelligence and espionage shaped many outcomes, revealing plans, troop movements, and weaknesses in enemy lines. Propaganda kept morale high while instilling fear in opponents. Some battles became legendary, studied for tactics and bravery, while others faded into obscurity, known only to historians. Yet every engagement contributed to a larger story, a war defined by courage, tragedy, and the relentless march of armies determined to achieve victory at any cost. Military strategies evolved rapidly as the scale of war forced innovation. Leaders realized that conventional tactics were often insufficient against mechanized armies and entrenched positions. Tanks and armored vehicles allowed for breakthroughs in heavily fortified areas, while airplanes provided reconnaissance, strategic bombing, and aerial combat. Submarines disrupted supply lines across oceans, changing the dynamics of naval warfare. Communication technologies such as radios enabled coordination over vast distances, while encryption became vital for maintaining secrecy. Commanders studied terrain, weather, and enemy patterns to gain advantages, sometimes risking everything on bold maneuvers. Combined arms operations, involving infantry, artillery, armor, and air support, demonstrated the growing complexity of military planning. Despite technological progress, human decision-making remained crucial. One miscalculation could lead to catastrophic losses. Training and discipline of soldiers determined how effectively strategies were implemented. Behind the front lines, logistics and production facilities worked tirelessly to maintain supplies of weapons, ammunition, and food. The rapid pace of innovation meant that what worked in one battle might fail in the next. Each advancement not only changed the immediate conflict, but also influenced future wars, setting new standards in military strategy, tactics, and the devastating capabilities of modern warfare. While technology and strategy shaped the battlefield, the human cost of war was staggering. Soldiers faced unimaginable conditions, trench warfare, exposure to extreme weather, hunger, disease, and constant danger. Psychological trauma affected those who survived, leaving scars long after the war ended. Civilians endured bombings, occupation, and displacement, often losing homes, families, and livelihoods. War crimes, including mass executions, forced labor, and persecution of minority groups, added layers of horror to the conflict. Families were torn apart, and entire communities were uprooted. Hospitals struggled to treat the wounded, and shortages of medical supplies exacerbated suffering. Refugees fled across borders, seeking safety from advancing armies. Propaganda often masked these atrocities, glorifying victories while ignoring the human toll. Yet, even in the darkest moments, acts of bravery, compassion, and resistance emerged. Ordinary people risked their lives to save others, maintain order, or provide food and shelter. Diaries, letters, and memoirs provide insight into the daily realities faced by those living through war. The human experience of the conflict reminds us that behind every strategic decision and historical event are individuals enduring fear, loss, and resilience in the face of unimaginable challenges. Eventually, the war drew to a close, leaving a transformed world in its wake. Treaties and agreements attempted to resolve disputes, redraw borders, and establish new political structures, but the impact of the conflict endured. Nations faced economic collapse, social upheaval, and political instability. Veterans returned home, often struggling with physical injuries and emotional trauma, while families mourned those lost. The maps of Europe, Asia, and beyond were redrawn, setting the stage for future conflicts. Lessons were learned, though sometimes at great cost, about diplomacy, military strategy, and the consequences of unchecked ambition. Memorials, museums, and historical records preserve the stories of those who fought and suffered, reminding us of the importance of remembering history accurately. While the world attempted to rebuild, the shadow of war influenced international relations, alliances, and global policies for decades. Understanding the causes, battles, strategies, and human cost of this war helps us appreciate the fragility of peace and the courage required to maintain it. War's own history seeks to honor these lessons, exploring both the heroism and tragedy that define one of the most devastating chapters in human history. As the dust of battle settles and the echoes of gunfire fade, we are left to reflect on the immense cost of war. Millions of lives were lost, cities reduced to rubble, and entire societies forever changed. Yet, amidst the destruction, there are acts of courage, sacrifice, and resilience that remind us of humanity's enduring spirit. Wars are not just events in history books, they are stories of people, choices, and consequences that continue to shape our world today. By understanding the causes, strategies, and human cost of these conflicts, we gain not only knowledge, but also perspective on the importance of peace, diplomacy, and empathy. The lessons of the past are clear. Vigilance, compassion, and wise leadership are essential to prevent history from repeating itself. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the battlefields, the strategies, and the untold stories of Warzone history. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the wars that shaped our world. And tell us in the comments which war or battle should we explore next. The stories of history are waiting to be uncovered, and together, we will discover them.